So,
Hey Brian, how are you?
hey, Jason, how are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you. I wanted to start off and ask you. I mean, looking at the Afterlife and looking at the original Ghostbusters, I think one thing that struck me was I thought the kind of the tone was quite different. I mean, it felt like Ghostbusters Afterlife was trying to be a lot more. I would say kind of emotional, and I mean that in the sense of like, in line with, Juno and any of your kind of films where there is like a kind of a real sort of emotional core. Whereas, this isn't a slight against your dad. He's not here to defend himself. But like looking at like Stripes or looking at like Ghostbusters, they felt like a lot more kind of dicking around almost, I guess. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, I guess the change in tone. I mean, was that intentional or was that just something that happened on set, or what was it all about?
One of the most brilliant things I think my father ever did was take the ghost seriously. I think that's what makes Ghostbusters so unique. If you think about every comedy up until then, you would have characters within a ghost movie, and it'd be kind of silly. And what really made Ghostbusters work is he took the horror seriously and he took the science fiction seriously. They are real scares. For some people, and when they saw it when they were 7 years old, it was the scariest film they've ever seen. It was their introduction to horror. Yeah, and what really kind of defined the Ghostbusters tone was these brilliant comedians who took the situation they were dealing with seriously. And while that film was about the original Ghostbusters opening up a ghostbusting business, we wanted to make a movie about the rest of us. We wanted to make a movie about every young person who looked at the screen and said, I want to be a Ghostbuster. And that's what Ghostbusters Afterlife really is. And I think that's what defines its tone. It's about these young people who we get to live through as they find the equipment, find the flight suits, find Ecto-1, and finally get to see what it feels like to hang out the side of Ecto-1 busting a ghost.
Yeah. I mean, I saw you on like Howard Stern a few years back and you're pretty pissed because you were like, how many people keep asking me to do Ghostbusters 3? Mm-hmm. Can I ask, I mean, what made you change your mind, really?
I think the approach to Ghostbusters for years has been, how do we find the next 4 Ghostbusters? And I think what people imagined was 4 new people in the fire hall in New York City. And I never had a solution for that. Eventually, I found a story that mirrored my own. A person dealing with the legacy of Ghostbusters. And that's what we made a movie about. We made a movie about a family of Ghostbusters. I don't think it's an accident that I am the son of a Ghostbuster, and this is a movie about the grandchildren of a Ghostbuster.
Yeah. At the Irish premiere, there was there was like kind of a small intro, and you were kind of talking. You touched on it briefly, but you were like, I made this with my dad, imagine your father watching you as you're doing everything. Yeah. I was like, and I've worked with my own father myself, and I know exactly what.
Oh, really?
Like. Oh yeah, no, I've done that. And and actually that kind of goes to my question: is how often did you want to tell your dad to go screw, basically, when you were
Well, look, no one enjoys getting notes from their parents about anything, but I got this rare opportunity to make a movie sitting alongside not only my father, but one of my storytelling heroes and the creator of Ghostbusters. It's like truly one of the great mythologies of our time. And to share in that experience, even when I was frustrated by his notes, was the adventure of a lifetime.
Were they good notes? Do you remember?
His notes are always good. Like any notes from your parents, you're frustrated because you don't want to take them, but deep down inside, you should.
Was there one, I mean, I suppose I kind of have to get specific. Like, I mean, was it something as simple as like, the delivery, or was it something about pacing, or what was it like? What were the kind of...
Oh, I mean, honestly, look, my father's a master storyteller. So when we talk about script, when we talk about edits, he is absolutely going to have notes about, well, what if you cut to this instead? And what if you use that take? And what if you took a few seconds out there? And what if the response came sooner? Or what if the response came later? I mean, the amount of conversations that he and I have had about each other's films over our lifetime together, I mean, is innumerable. But a detail that you'll enjoy is that I am not that into slime My father loves slime, and that was a big dividing issue on this film. My dad is pro slime and definitely thinks that Ghostbusters Afterlife is shy on slime.
And like, is it for its comedic value, or is it just he likes the consistency and the viscosity of it?
It's a great question. I've never gotten into the details of it, but I think he thinks it's one of the defining properties of this franchise. And he thinks that audiences love it, and there's something just gooey and fun about it. You know, look, there's this moment with Venkman lying on the floor with the slime all over him, and he goes, you know, you slimed me, and people love it.
Yeah, no, he's right. Like, he's totally right. I mean, that scene, I remember that and Dickless are my two all-time favorite comedy beats in the first
Right,
one.
and I guess that's kind of the thing about Ghostbusters. Everyone has their favorite Beatle. Yeah. And everyone has their favorite Ghostbuster. And probably a lot of what defines this movie is my affection for Egon Spengler. He was my favorite Ghostbuster. So, you know, lines like, I had half a Slinky and I straightened it. You know, for me, that is Ghostbusters. Or see what happens when you take away the puppy. Like, the Egon Spengler jokes for me are what I take home.
Great stuff. All right, okay, I got to leave it there. Thanks, man.
Hey, pleasure.
A gunner seat?